Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tuesday evening. It is 9 o'clock. Time to have a live stream. But first, as always, a little music. Enjoy.
We are all the heirs to Scotland, as a nation proudly stand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let a flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. To the world we bid a welcome in 1,000 different ways. We will toast to long lost friendships as we build our better days. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. We are all the heroes of Scotland. We're a nation hand in hand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum.
Good evening, folks. Hope you're all right, cozy, comfy, and relaxed. I must say it's been a glorious day here today. It's a beautiful evening. Touch of good weather for a change. Makes all the difference. Even if you're not doing very much, it makes all the difference. So I don't know how this evening's stream will go. I just received an upsetting, disturbing phone call before we started, about half an hour or so ago, from Lorraine telling me that Laura has been admitted to the local hospital. And they're not quite sure what's going on. So don't be surprised if the telephone that I have sitting here goes off, or the one I have in my pocket goes off. I don't think it will, but just to make you aware that it might. And if it does, we'll take it from there. Good evening, Streaky. I hope you're okay, my friend. And really, that's as much as I know at this point. So we'll just have to hope that well, thanks very much, Trevor Emma. I appreciate that. As I say, they don't know. When I was speaking to Lorraine, she was telling me that her mum was getting taken down for a scan. So what they're doing, of course, is just taking various tests, which allows them to exclude this and think about that. No doubt they've taken blood samples, but of course the lab will be closed at night. As I say, just have to wait and see what transpires. I'll phone Lorraine later and find out if she's got anything to tell me, but I don't expect much to be given out at this point. I know that ward well. I was in it far too many times last year myself. It's a general admissions ward. So, what can one say? Not a lot. So, I'm glad you all enjoyed um, my guest on Friday evening, PBC. You may well be interested to know that she and DJ are coming to visit me on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll be able to give them a swish round the town. A great stream on Friday. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed it. She asked me why I invited her on. It seemed obvious to me, of course. I wanted to give her the opportunity to voice her opinions, to speak for herself, so to say, especially from a female point of view. We don't hear enough of that. I've been trying for long enough to get my sister Alison to come on. It's not that she doesn't want to come on, she does. It's just been so difficult with one thing and another. And again, for much the same reason, to hear the female voice and hear things from a feminine point of view, which is always interesting to me. And it would seem is always interesting to you folk as well. And no doubt I'll have her back on again. I said that to her afterwards. That good evening, Jojo. Alison would make another great guest. She has such a gentle voice. Well, that's true. But she is up to her neck in all sorts of various things in the community, which are equally interesting. And that helps me to keep in touch with what's going on. Good evening, Linda. It's still dark and it's still cold. Mm. There's Jemima. Good evening, Jemima. No, we will. We will definitely have Alison on, and not too far in the future, because she's got so many different things, as I said, that she's involved in the community. And what concerns me is the fact that the things that she's involved in should be available outside of Inverclyde, but don't seem to be. And that concerns me because the things that she's involved in are badly needed. So my thinking is that if you good people get some idea of what's happening in Inverclyde, you can chase up the local politicians and whatnot and try and get them to start something up. But this is all best left to Alison because she knows what she's talking about. But I think these things that Alison's involved in should be available throughout the country. And I don't mean just Scotland, I mean Britain. And I don't understand why they are not available in other areas. Well, that's absolutely right, Treble M. Alison is a lifeline to the lonely and elderly in her work. But not just that. She's involved in a bigger spectrum of people than that. But as I say, it would be best coming from Alison directly because she knows all the nuances and she knows all the details rather than me trying to patch it together. And we have spoken about it for long enough. Um, but she needs to come to my house to do it because she wouldn't get any peace in her house with the animals. Of course, they would be all over her and looking for attention. You know what animals are like. And she's got three cats and a dog. So I very quickly suggested that for Alison to be a guest on the stream, she'd be better doing it from here. That way she can give her all her attention to what she's saying rather than trying to peacify her cats or her dog. But she will come on eventually, and it shouldn't be too long uh, to wait. And there's Toffee. Good evening, Toffee. Um, I'd really like, I think it would make a very interesting stream if I could get Alison and PBC on the same stream. I want Alison to come on at first herself so that she can translate all this detail about what she's doing and how you might get that started wherever it is you are. And you'll see just how much goes on in this area. And there's a lot goes on. Absolutely, Toffee. That's what I was just saying. It would. I think it would be really good if I can get the two of them on together. You know, PBC and my sister Alison, and sort of comparing notes, so to speak. But I'll get Alison to come on herself again first, because she's been on before, but it's a long time now. And she was here on Friday, Alison, because I told her who was coming on, and she wanted to listen and hear what this young woman had to say. And she had a lot to say for herself. Really good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. She said it herself. Well, most people who come on the stream will say this. They don't know where the time goes. It just seems to flash by. That's always a good sign. And people say that. But she will be back, folks. I will have her back again. But her and Alison together would make a formidable guest list. I know it. And I was lurking last night to Toffee William and Sensum and Scott's Armour. It was interesting. It's interesting to hear the views about gun ownership. I myself have gone from one extreme to the other on gun ownership. When I was a young man, I was absolutely against the whole idea of it. Oh, you're quite right. Thanks. Thanks for correcting me there, Toffee. DJ it was, yeah. DJ. Uh, and now I'm all for it. I think the general population should have access to gun ownership. I really do. Ah, there's Rory Herbert. Never let Toffee on your stream with the ladies, advises Rory. Well, we're all somewhat fascinated by the ladies, are we not, being men? Yes, well, I did notice that, and I know that's what Rory's getting at, of course. Uh, yes, it's strange how you can go from one extreme to the other on certain topics. And that's one that I've shifted from over the course of my life, from against the idea to being all for the idea. But I think it's something that should be discussed more often, because I think as time moves along, folks, I think our people are going to need such protection. Sooner or later, things are going to take a turn for the worse. I'd like to be wrong in this, but I know I'm not. And it's not everyone that's got the. Well, that's interesting you say that, Toffee. It's not everyone that's got the physical abilities, to wield a baseball bat or something of that, or a cricket bat, something of that nature. I'm thinking of old people, you know, where pulling a trigger would probably present less bother to them in terms of ability to do it. Toffee is telling us firearms are out of control in Liverpool. No, I did not travel there. So that's a problem where you are, Toffee. Guns are a problem. Did you see the new elected Green councillor in Leeds? No, I did not. AK-47. I'm sure that isn't true. As long as he's done it legally. If he's done it legally, great. Streaky. George Galloway made me laugh last week describing Keir Starmer so wooden. Birds are nesting on him. It's one of his favourites, Streaky. One of his favourites. Oh, God. All right, Toffee. That's bad. Some horrible drug dealers had a shootout on my street when I was a teenager. No, I haven't seen this one. I've heard about it, Budgie, but I haven't yet seen it. This is what I'm saying. This is what I mean. This sort of thing is just going to get worse, more prevalent as time passes. It's not weird for Scotland. I know what he means. Polish shot it. Well, you've got the emphasis in the right place, Gavin. Humza's replacement. Wait! David Hibbs Turner, Liverpool. He lived a few doors away from me. Oh dear. Never forget, folks, that when I was a teenager, a long time ago, of course, but when I was a teenager, everyone carried open razors. I carried one myself, my father's. Trevor M. Keir Starmer's my MP. You should see the state of the borough. I can believe that. Now, I believe it's the same for Sturgeon and Hums are useless. You see me get into these jobs and they don't do the job of looking after those people who they're supposed to be representing. See, I don't know about you folks, but I don't. I'm not enamored with what we call democracy. I'm just not. As I say, I'm only telling you what it was like when I was a teenager. Some of the guys that, no, they weren't my pals or anything like that, but they were in the town. They were known they were in my age group. Very violent. very violent. One guy in particular, I'm thinking on, he he walked about all the time. He carried a hatchet, carried a hatchet in his belt. A bit older than me, so he had come through the Teddy Boy era, which was just in front or just behind me, uh, and the long jacket, of course, hid the fact that he carried this axe. He used it. Yeah, it scarred a lot of folk. Well, there's too much of that goes on as well. Treble parachuting people in because it's a safe seat. I think what we have learned recently about the Labour Party is important. It's important that we know this stuff. So we know now, do we not, the amount of influence that Israeli government has on politicians in Westminster. And we know it for a fact. Toffee is telling us that Starmer is a pedo protector. He was in charge of that Operation U-Tree investigation. And also, Toffee and folks, um, any of our people that came in front of him, I'm talking about nationalists now, he gave them the longest sentences possible. Well, that's the way they all seem to be, Treble, the ones at the top, whether they're in government or not. They seem to spend more time promoting themselves than actually doing the job that they're getting all that money for. Yep, I think you're right, Streaky. Nearly all the traitorous scum MPs are, quote, friends of Israel, unquote. Rory, I loved the Bowie knife. I was issued as a Boy Scout in the early 1970s. Useful piece of kit, absolutely. It was standard issue, not that you were issued it, you had to buy it, but it was standard uniform if you were a scout. When I was a scout for a short time, I had one. Everybody, all the boys had them. But that had to be removed because it was seen as a potential weapon. And when you think on it, you know, politicians from as far back as we can go have done everything in their power to make sure that the general public, i.e., you and I, are placed in a position where they cannot defend themselves. And that has gone on for long enough. I haven't heard of this one. Anglo recently voted in Islamic councillors have sent the Labour Party 18 demands. But this is what I've been saying for years. Numbers are still numbers are but it's done. If you don't like Islam, you can leave Britain, they now say. I've been saying this for years. Even these idiots who think that it won't apply to them are going to be shocked one day. These places like Westminster and Edinburgh and whatever it is called down in Wales are going to be filled with these people. And all the idiots that wanted them here, brought them here, encouraged them to come here are going to realise when it's far too late, of course, that they've made this mistake. It seems obvious to me. And the way I look at things, I'm sure you know this by now. You've been listening to me for long enough. If I see that, I'm sure you folks see that. And if we see that, why don't these other folk who are encouraging all this see it? Because they think they're different. That's the difference. They think they are somehow going to be exempt from this. And they won't be. You're probably right, Gavin. What's Doberman saying? I'd make a great Muslim. Easily. Easy translation being a National Socialist, as shown by the amount that joined Islam after 45. Well, of course, National Socialism has got nothing to do with race, as you well know. Well, that's already happened. I'm sure you well know that, Doberman. Woo, spicy that, Travel eh? I told my friend today to order her black gown. As I say, I don't understand why these people who are encouraging all of this and want all this don't see that the end of us is the end of them. Because eventually there'll be no place to go in the West. They must have an incredible ego to think that none of this is going to apply to them. See, I forget about things like that, Rory. Yes, please hit the like button. It supposedly helps the channel somehow, and it doesn't take much effort. So, if you wouldn't mind, folks, hit the like button. Smashed it. Good man. Good man. And that's another reason why we do need to be able to defend ourselves. Let's be honest. We do. But as I've said before to you, although I say that, and if I were ever in the position of being able to do something about it positively, it's not something that should be written in a document like this. It shouldn't be in this document, that kind of thing. That's why I've always said to you, there are certain things that if I were in a position to do, I would do, but I can't talk about them. And that's one of them. That's one of them. It's just one. It's not even something that I would put in a document like that. There's many things that cannot go in a document like that. That's my opinion. I think if you put certain political ideas in a document like that, you're asking for real trouble. Now, the party will get real trouble once it becomes big enough. I'm quite well aware of that. But why, for heaven's sake, would you encourage it before you need to? So as I say, there's all sorts of policies and policy ideas that must remain unsaid, especially in an open forum like this. Different if we were somewhere private. But for the moment, no. It has to remain, some of them, unsaid. And perhaps for a few, it will always have to be unsaid until you are in power. That's what I think. It's how I do things at the moment while I'm in charge, while we are small. some of the things that I talk about are not in that document, such as I think our people should be able to defend themselves. That should be in that document, but can't be. I agree with you, Doberman. There is no shame in saying we love our folk, and we do. And we do have the right to protect what's ours, whether that be property or people. We have those rights. We don't have to ask for permission to have those rights. But it makes it easier to deflect when there is no hard evidence that can be used against us. And make no mistake, as small as we are known. Of course we are. Everyone here is known. Simply by coming on a channel like this, push you on the radar automatically. Yeah, I knew that when I started the party. I knew that before I came on the YouTube. As far as I know, it's possible, I suppose. Unlikely, but it's possible that I've been on a list for a long time because I did go to an official communist meeting. A long time ago, certainly. Good God, how long is it now? Long time. 40 odd years. You're right, Anglo. We are. We are all on the list. That's certainly true. I know what you mean. Makes you feel safe knowing that they're watching over you. The state, nothing but the state. But it's true. Banzera list. And it's something that I've spoken about privately with certain individuals about why it's necessary for some people to do their best to hide their identity by not being in front of the camera when they guest on a channel like this. They stay anonymous as much as they can. Now, my view is that protects them at our level. But it doesn't actually protect them against government level. The government know fine well who they are. But it makes the individual who's doing that, it makes them feel safe. And that's the important thing, that they feel safe because they're not showing their face. But as I explained before, me showing my face was an accident to begin with. Dear John Davidson, says Rory, if anyone would like to put on R in the chat for my birthday today, it would be much appreciated. Well, of course, it's Rory's birthday. What age are you? What age are you, Rory? We'll get an R going for Rory. So off we go. There's an R. Let's get started. Rory Herbert is happy birthday. Are you as old as I am, Rory? Very good, Streaky. Asking for presents. 653, says Streaky. "10 years younger than I am. I'm 178, so that makes you 168. 68. You still using your cigarette holder, Rory? Takes me back to the days of the N-word tower. The glory days, is Doberman. Two weeks ago, you were passing a birthday budget. Occasionally. Well, I hope it helps. I know it certainly helped me. No doubt about it. No doubt in my mind whatsoever about this usefulness. My only regret is that I wasn't able to get started using the holder much earlier in life. See, we don't have a tobacconist in this town. If you want to buy cigarettes, you buy it somewhere like Tesco's or a newsagent. There isn't a proper tobacconist anywhere. There used to be a long time ago, but it's long gone. And you need a proper tobacconist if you want to buy specialised accessories for smoking. So that's just the way it is. Don't forget his reparations, Anglo. Needs his reparations, Rory. '68. Yeah, that's a good age too. That's a good age. 67, says Treble M. Oh, there's our special guest, PVC. Good evening, ma'am. Hope you're well. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. It's uh, it's been really quite nice here today. Just talking about the pros and cons of being able to defend yourself as a member of the public. And I was explaining that when I was a young man, um, I was against gun ownership. But as the years went on and I began to learn something about the world and people, I began the journey of changing my mind. And now, and have been for a long time now, all in favour of it. And if I could do something about it, I would, to bring it in. Doberman, did you get permission from your man to do those chores? We practicing Sharia tonight. Tonight we are practicing. And I was just also saying that I have been trying for long enough to get my sister Alison on the live stream. She has much to say in particular areas, and then after that, it would be awfully good, I think, to have your good self, BBC, and my sister Alison on the one stream. I think that would be interesting. That's what we've been talking about so far. Well, she was listening in. She was here, but she came on because I told her that I was having a young woman on. And she was very much impressed, as we all were. She works in my sister that is works in an area. It's so it's almost like charity work. That's where she's occupied in. And as I've already said, and I've said it before years ago when I first introduced her, uh, I get upset when I think of all the things that are going on in Inverclyde, and you're just up the road, not that far up the road, and yet nothing seems to happen beyond Inverclyde until you get to Glasgow. And I don't know how to fix that. Well, I was saying that to the folks that we will definitely have you back on again. But I'd like to get my sister on before that happens, and then get the two of you on for another stream. Well, that's for sure, and no doubt about it. And I've got, well, you perhaps if you remind me when you're down at the weekend, I'll show you the paperwork that I've got. There is a big plan that's sitting here waiting, not literally with me, but it came to light when I stood for the local council election. The organisers of this put an envelope through my door with all sorts of details about it, asking for my political support. I'd never heard of it. Yeah, that would be good. And of course, ever since that, I've wondered about how many other projects exist in the country. I'm talking about Scotland now. How many exist in the country and will never be picked up because it's the SNP? This one that I will tell you all about was totally researched. It was right through as far as you can go with it. And Sturgeon just knocked it back without a second thought. Scandalous in my view. Not only would it help Inverclyde, it was designed to help the other coast, the east coast, not just Edinburgh, but right up to Inverness, up to Aberdeen and beyond. Huge project. Got nowhere. And that, as you know, I'm sure, is just a waste. Not only is it a waste, folks, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. Knowing fine well that these men who got together and began to explore the possibility of revitalising the dry dock got experts involved, designers involved, etc., 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 to the very point of going and exploring the possibilities via Australia to provide working plans for the construction of ships that could be used in the west coast and the east coast of Scotland. Catamarans. Now, this is all well and truly tested. They even got to the point where they had a buyer for the license to operate. They had it costed. It was all costed as well. It was knocked back. They didn't even have the courtesy of giving this group a proper reply. Apparently, the protocol is that you receive a written confirmation about whether it's been accepted or rejected. They didn't even get that They got a phone call, and not even from her, one of her lackeys. Disgraceful. Good evening, Mr. Johnson. The government could easily build the infrastructure to house Brits over the next decade. Labour and the Tories simply to do not want to provide it. Yeah, well, who would disagree with that? Not I. That's for sure. I have my own thoughts about new housing or house building in general, which seems to be, well, it doesn't seem to be, I know it is, against prevailing thinking. All housing should be built for the long term. And when I say the long term, I do mean the long term. I want to see houses that are built for, like they do in Europe. Do you know their houses were, were built in Germany in the 1930s, which are still standing today? I've seen photographs, and when you superimpose the photographs on top of one another, there's no change. Nothing has changed because they were built to last. It's not the house, but well, I know why you say that, Travel. It's not just houses getting built; it's who they're for and where they're being built. Yeah, and it's not for us. We know that. That's part of the problem. Yeah, I suspect you're right there, Gavin. They built new all over London for them, rich all along the Thames, for rich people. Yeah, they've done the same in Glasgow. Glasgow front, that where it used to be the Dockland, is all high quality, high expensive housing. Same here actually, believe it or not. And then there's that problem. These new builds are destroying our countryside. Point Mr. Johnson's making, which is absolutely right. And as Treble M is saying, it's not for us. That's the other aggravating factor, I suppose. Yes, I saw that, Anglo. I see that Galloway has had some stick for saying he wants his children taught that a mother, father, and family is correct. Yeah, of course he is. Don't you think I would if I were on television as a leader of our party? Of course I would. You see, I'm like him. I don't quiver at the knees because they say these things. Because I have the certainty of knowing that what I say is correct and natural. It's natural law. Natural law is God's law. It's the way it's meant to be. It's the way it was designed. Mum, dad, children. That simple. You'll get more of that as it goes along. As I say, I would expect it if it were me in that limelight. And if that limelight got brighter, it would become more intense. Of course it will. Will. We ain't got the infrastructure to support more housing, says Streaky. Stop benefits to foreigners to free up housing as they leave. There's all sorts of things that I would implement, as I said, that cannot possibly go in that booklet. Not because they're illegal. They're not. Of course they're not. But I don't see the need for causing us trouble. And it would cause trouble if it became public knowledge. I don't want any of my membership getting beaten up because they support particular ideas that at the moment aren't popular. And I've mentioned them before because it's something that's been around for a long, long time and only became knowledgeable to me in the last, I don't know, 15 years or so. I mean, this country is like most Western countries, but we'll stick to this one. The people of this country love and adore animals, animals of all sorts, cats, dogs, horses, the cows in the fields, and all the rest of it. We are a nation of animal lovers. Now, that's without a doubt. Without a doubt. But here's what I didn't know, and I suspect that most people in this country are not aware of. We've got a lot of strict rules regarding how animals are to be treated when they go to the slaughterhouse. Very strict. And it's supposed to be inspected regularly, these places, these abattoirs. Now, whether they are or not is a different matter. Now, the point I'm making is all the rules and regulations that were laid down many, many, many years ago, there is exemptions to them. And these exemptions are not generally known about. Religious exemptions. So that while the public generally sleeps soundly at night thinking that animals sent to the abattoir are dealt with in the least horrendous way isn't actually true. Halal and kosher food have to be prepared in a certain way, and that means that the animals have to be slaughtered in a particular way, which you and I would find unacceptable. No, I'm not a vegetarian, Chris. I'd be. I wouldn't last as a vegetarian. Me, good God, no. No, no, no. I'm a meat person. In fact, I had a lovely steak tonight. It's one of the reasons why I'm putting on weight, is because I got a little bit of money extra because I've got cancer, and I said to the nursing staff that if I were awarded this money, that I'd use it to buy better quality food. That's one of the things I do with it. I buy steaks, so I have at least one steak a week, at least, usually two. So getting back to the point, I would close that loophole. And I would carry the public support by showing them. And you could see it on YouTube if you want to go and watch it. I would suggest you don't. I've done it. And I've done it for you so that you don't have to. Don't go and watch it. It'll only upset you. There you go. You're getting it. A nice, concise description from Anglo. Unstunned slaughter. If the public knew this, they would be up in arms, sure of it. Dear. Well, actually, I've got to disagree with you, Doberman, because it's been scientifically looked at, this business. And apparently, what happens is when an animal is slaughtered that way, it's it's terrified before it gets to that point. It somehow picks up the whole atmosphere of what's about to happen to it, and it's terrified. And then when they start the operation of killing it, it becomes really terrified. And what happens, apparently, is the nature of the blood changes on a microscopic level. And you can see it under a microscope, apparently. Or people like you and I wouldn't know what we were looking for, but apparently, if you know what you're looking for, it's there. There's a difference. And that difference creates a difference in the way the meat tastes. So it does make a difference as to how the creature is slaughtered. We used to have one here in the town, right in the centre of the town, and you couldn't see inside, but you would hear the animals crying out. It was, and then the gun go off. It was awful. I remember that growing up in the town. I had to ask, of course, what it was. Well, that's what I'm saying, Anglo. That the stressed animal is so stressed out that it changes the nature of the blood, so that by the time it lands in the butcher shop or the supermarket, it has this uh, different kind of blood. Well, I mean, it's blood, but it's it's in a slightly different chemical state than it should be. Oh, budgie, that's stretching it. So that's one thing that I would do. I would change the laws, and then on top of that, now I believe it's the organization for animal rights that are supposedly the inspectors of abattoirs. Now, I'm not quite sure if that is 100% correct. Well, it should freak you out, Trevor. Freaks me out. I don't like really to talk about it. In fact, I did. Well, I'm getting off the subject a wee bit there. Uh, if that's not the case, what I would do then is set up an organisation that inspects abattoirs to make sure that they're complying with the law, that animals must be stunned before they're shot. There's BBC saying we used to be a nation of animal lovers. We've allowed the PC nonsense to allow us to become cruel, to tick diversity boxes. Well, as I say, I'm not a vegetarian. Uh, I wouldn't survive, to be honest, trying to live that kind of life. I don't. I'm not keen on vegetables at the best of times. Well, they're not. I remember the gunshots going off back when I was a wee boy living in Greenock. So what we're we talking about? The 50s, the early 50s. Good evening, Exile Viking. I was I was looking for you when I noticed that you weren't there, so I kept my eye open for you. Superstitious nonsense just to keep a pushy, aggressive minority happy. It needs banned, but it won't be under a wet white government that aims to appease bigoted minorities in case they start rioting. Well, I was talking about that fantasy of what things can go into uh, a political document and what things shouldn't be put in. And that's one of the things that shouldn't be put in and isn't in our document. I didn't even know fish had fingers, Mr. Johnston. Well, I think that's a bit more accurate, though. I mean, the coming majority. And that's what I've always said about these things. And I've been saying these things long, long before I ever came on to YouTube. That there are many ways to tackle a problem. Sometimes the best way to tackle a problem is head on, and other times that's the worst thing to do is to tackle it head on. I don't know if this is a fact. If it was banned, says Triple M, they would have to leave the country. Well, yeah, there's another aspect to it. And the other aspects to it is, of course, is to make it illegal to import it. I didn't know about the license angle, but it's still uh, it's still a gun, a stun gun. I called it. Didn't realize it was called a bolt gun, but and I didn't realize that they needed a license. So that's just another way of making money, isn't it? Create a license. That bothers me less about the license side of it than the adherence to the law. If it if that loophole was closed, and it needs to be closed as far as I'm concerned. I told you, I don't know him anymore. He's long gone. I could wear something close to it. How about that? Would that satisfy you? Yeah, that wouldn't be. I mean, it's not that difficult for me to, believe it or not, to wear something close to it. But I would rather, to be honest, in my dreams, I'd rather wait until I was sworn in as First Minister and then wear what I have in mind. Not that fella's uniform, obviously, but I have something else in mind in here. And I would wear it. Believe you me, I would wear it. I emphasize that because you and I haven't met, so you don't know that when I say something like that in the way that I say it, that I'm serious. I would wear it. But not standing for an election, on winning one. And that's the one that it would be most appropriate to wear. Well, I'm the same as you, Ultra. I'm a meat eater, and I do like venison. So maybe you'll spare me some. Is that a question? What would happen to a human being if somebody used a stun gun? It'd probably kill him, especially here, or here, around the skull area. Yeah, you'd kill them. Yeah, that's what they like to think, Rory. I'm afraid I don't recognise stuff like that. I'm not a royalist. How did we end up with Sweeney? Well, it looks as though nobody else would take the job. And I think if there's any realists amongst SNP, they must know they're going to get wiped out come the first election that comes along. Did you hear that about the job? She's looking for Sturgeon's looking for somebody to be our personal assistant. Well, if you haven't heard about it, maybe you want to apply for the job because it's paying over 28,000 a year. It's a part-time job, by the way. 28, 28 hours a week. Very good, Ultra. You'd hunt him. Actually, no, I have not exiled. I have never worn a kilt. I don't think I would suit one, to be honest with you. Could be wrong, but I don't think I'd suit it because I've got thin legs, and anytime I've seen a man in a kilt, it always looks better, in my opinion, if he's sturdy, even short, but but wide and big legs. No, I've never had hedgehog or badger. All right, William, see applying for the job. I mean, just stop and think about that. Seriously. I mean, it's outrageous, is it not? Or is this just me? I, I don't know about any of you folks here in the chat, right? But it's no secret to those who know me. I've never earned more than 14,000 a year, ever. So the idea, and that was for full-time employment, by the way. So the idea of getting 28,000 a year for 28 hours a week seems an awfully good job to me. You just need a good tailor to measure and fit you. Anyone can get a kilt to suit their body type. I'm sure there's a certain truth in that. Once I was a tailor in my life, and again, it's something that I've always said, but unable to do. If if I could afford it, all my clothes would be made to measure, including my shoes and boots. It's Mr. Johnson. You should turn up to the job interview in your mate's uniform. Oh, that'd be hilarious, wouldn't it? That would be hilarious. That's something I've not tried, Alder. I've never tried that. Venison burgers. My friend in Glasgow, a few times over the years, for Christmas dinner, would serve up the venison. Lovely, absolutely lovely. But I've never tried a burger. Sure, it's beautiful. Well, that so-called Highland dress was invented during the Victorian age. It's got nothing to do with traditional Highland wear. Tartan trews was the thing, or trews, and they wore a big blanket rolled up for sleeping in, of course. I think that's right, Doberman. I'm not sure, but I think you're right there. Again, I would agree with you there, Mr. Johnson. If you go out into the countryside and take animals on in their own domain, then I don't think there's anything wrong with that if you kill for sport, as the Americans would say. Now, he's got a lot to answer for, that Walter Scott. Assassin acts made us wear skirts. Good evening, Will. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, sir. Hope you're well. Oops. Lowland Scots are Sassenachs, says Doberman. Are pagans vegetarians? I have no idea. I'm doing all right. Well, I do all right. I think that's where it all begins round then. George the Fourth. No expert on it, but I think that's where it starts up. Yeah, Ultra Island. Slowly but surely, wake up, boiling point. Any day it's going to be on the news for the right reasons for resisting the plantation. I think you're right. I think that's definitely on the menu, without a doubt. I'm sure of it. I'm sure you're right. I don't think Ireland's going. I really don't. Unlike Scotland, the Irish have not ever given up fighting. This is, to me, I should imagine it for some of them, if not all. This is just another fight, just another uphill battle. Well, Rory, when I went to Black Tie do here in Scotland, in Glasgow, I wore my black dinner suit, my black tie, of course, but most importantly, I wore my black cloak to all of them. And if you've never worn a cloak, and I'm not talking about a cape, I'm talking about a cloak, it is a very classy piece of menswear. I think it's very warm inside. I love to wear my cloak. Loved it. I've still got it, obviously. If I was going, if I was being invited to a black tie do now, this year, I'd still wear my black cloak. It's like a lot of clothes that men once wore regularly, but don't any longer. I mean, one of the things that came to my attention when I broke away from following the herd when it came to dressing. Unless you get into a black cab, you can't actually wear a hat in a car. You can wear a scone or a beret, but not a hat. Because the height inside a car over the years has been lowered and lowered and lowered. I was never invited to one, Mr. Johnson. Had I been invited, I would have went. Lightly made my own mask. Oh, that would definitely be a certainty to wear a sheath. So there you go. That's something to, yeah, a bit of information that you pick up if you wear hats like I do. You discover that you have to take it off if you're in a car. Very good, Streaky. I like it. I wore a COVID mask and went to an orgy. I caught syphilis but remained COVID free. Yeah, price is too high. So yeah, same as wearing the cloak. You can't wear a cloak. I suppose you could in the in a correct car, but in a modern car you can't wear a cloak. Cloak's far too big for a modern car. Same as you can't wear a hat. Fortunately, any time we went on these black tie do's, don't know about you, Rory, but black tie do's that we went to, they were all held in Glasgow city centre, and there was never a far, long distance to walk to get to it. But yeah, they were great, and I thoroughly enjoyed being dressed up. They certainly have, Ultra. They have that experience. No doubt about that. The sad thing is, though, I'm talking about myself. Sad things is, I don't have any photographs of me dressed with my cloak, except a studio session that I once went along to. Got some portraits, and I wore my cloak. Sad to say, he was not particularly a great photographer. I cannot imagine, to join in the conversation you guys are having, I cannot imagine Ireland giving up without a fight, some kind of fight. I just can't imagine it. They've fought too many battles already through their history. Why would they not fight again? I just, I just can't believe they wouldn't fight. Could be wrong, of course. I always leave the possibility of being wrong. Oh, I know the type of thing you're talking about, exiled. Never wore one, but I know what they look like. Nah, I kept it. I put the whole thing on. The whole suit was on, shirt, tie, the whole bit. When I was a postman, when you got your uniform, which consisted of two suits, a summer jacket, a hat, and then of course the badges, and a cloak, a cape actually, a cape, more of a poncho type thing. So you put your bag on, and then you put this on top, and kept you dry. Brilliant thing. Not particularly stylish to wear, but practical. Very practical. Great. That was the days when it was a proper job. Do you think we've got 10% ultra? As he is saying, the sad thing is, I feel there's not enough of normal people that think like us and can see what's going on. The population is brainwashed, absolutely. We are the 10%. It would be okay if that was all we needed was 10%, but I don't know. I like your hat, by the way. I like your hat. Actually, Mr. Johnson, when by the time I became a postman and had the uniform and all that, I was already divorced. I was already divorced by then. I know, hard to believe. Streaky saying we only need 10% for a revolution. Well, if I were you, Mr. Johnson, I would use the past tense for that. It used to be a great job. Not anymore. Not anymore. Good evening, Bass. Hope you're well, sir. You are correct, sir. You are correct. Scottish first. Yeah, I suppose that would be politically correct, Uncle. Post person. Well, just as well I don't adhere to any of that nonsense. It's still a postman, as far as I'm concerned, even if it's a woman. And I don't think it's really a job for a woman, to be honest. Depends on the walk she's got. Some of these particular walks are very heavy, constantly heavy. Most people see the postie as he's at the end of his walk, or he's clearing a box and going to make his way back to the general office. Well, so be it. That's what I say. So be it. If I'm sexist or not, I don't care about it. I don't care. Yeah, postmaster or postmistress. Yeah, I accept those terms. But I'm talking about the people who deliver the mail. Yeah, you're correct, Doberman. You're quite correct. Equality. They wanted it. Now they've got it. Oh, I'm pleased to hear that, boss. Things are getting better for you. Is that what you've been working on, Streaky? We're approaching 11 o'clock. Faster than a dinghy approaching Dover, says Streaky. Ah, tell you. Yeah. Well, that sounds nice, Toffee. Aye, I appreciate your invitation in advance. Oh, yeah, you use Sethsum's channel, right? I noticed that. I was listening to that chap from Wales, by the way, Toffee. Uh, a lot of good information, a lot of good experience there. Yeah, it was very informative. Never got the opportunity, Mr. Rodney Johnson. No, never happened. Never even get the offer. Oh, yeah, that chap was from Wales, yeah. That Joe Marsh fella, yeah. As I say, he was very interesting. A lot of experience behind him. Well, I think it's quite obvious what my attitude to swearing is. If you, and it's your channel, effectively. We'll talk about it later, nearer the time. It's not a big issue. Not even on this channel. It's only that one word, as you all know. But obviously, I'll come on the channel if you ask me to. Of course, I will. Yeah, far out, man. Remember those days? Far out. But it was. My generation thought we were going to change the world. I really did. I really did. Still painting away there, goodness sake. It's a bit late in the night for painting. Joey Owens. Who's Joey Owens? Hello there, Robert. How are you doing, sir? Thank you. Appreciate that. Don't forget, folks, that No Chance is coming on Friday. That should be interesting. Last time I had No Chance on the channel, was during the pandemic at its height. Our conversation got so detailed that I ended up on a week suspension. Yes, I have done a lot of landscape work. There's a lot of porn everywhere because it's there to corrupt men and women, but mainly men. Well, here's a question for you then, Toffee, directly to you, and I want you to be honest, as I'm sure you will. Exactly. I've never watched it, never seen it. So my question to you then, uh, Jemima, uh, so obviously I would not qualify as being spicy. Yes or no? Oh, I hope he answers me. No, Mr. Johnson, not at all. Not at all. Of course it's fake. What does he say? I wouldn't swear constantly with you. I'd be more respectful. Right. Uh, I just wondered, you know, how you go about. Does it depend on the other person? I mean, if I started cursing and swearing, you would, wouldn't you? That's the point. As I've told you before, that this all me swearing in public all comes from a lifetime of being on the stage where you don't do that unless that were your act, like somebody like Billy Corney, a comedian. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we've done that one. And besides, it's after 11 and it's time to bring on the outro music. But yes, Toffee, I'll quite happily come on your live stream and I'd look forward to that, of course. I think swearing is for some people, it's the way they speak naturally. And oddly enough, to my ears, some people swearing is not offensive, whether it be a male or a female. My Auntie Annie swore like a trooper. She really did. Totally true. But I never found it offensive. And I've met quite a lot of people like that, men and women, who constantly swear. It's part of their everyday language, if you like. Some people, it can be offensive when they use it, and other people, it's not. And the other, I've told you this before, the other thing about the swearing business, uh, good night, Treble M. And I'll finish on this. Yeah, it's a pattern. It's a pattern of speech. Any time my late wife Helen swore, which was rare, I always laughed because it was hilarious. She had a very cultivated voice, and when she used, especially the F word, if she used the F word, it was hilarious, just hilarious. Okay, folks, so we'll leave it at that, and I hope you enjoyed it. So yes, I'll come on your live stream, my friend Toffee. So remember, Friday night, no chance will be here, and I'm sure it'll be interesting. Until then, my friends, it is adios, au revoir, cheerio, and until Friday, goodbye for now, and thank you for being here. Speak again soon. Enjoy the music. Bye just now.
Silently the snow falls, paints a winter scene, swiftly spreads the dark rim, hides a fading autumn green. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, conjure friendships dear to me. Lightly now the breeze flows, disturbing more than just the leaves. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow. Patiently the love grows, lifts the weary heart. Gently now she holds me, melts two worlds once apart. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, usher dreams of you and me. Softly then the breeze blows, disturbing more than just the trees.
Together now,
But love's much more
so much more
than we can
than we
know.
can ever possibly know.
We are one small glow in the eternal flow. Melodies of long ago, songs of innocence, harmonies to soothe the soul, has some consequence. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, waking joys of you and me. Silently the snow falls, bringing winter symphony.
All together now.
But we're much more
So much more.
than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow.
What does this button do? Finally got it. Took me long enough. Okay, folks. Take care. Thanks for being here. And I'll see you, hopefully, on Friday. Night, night.